I got my first motorcycle when I was 8. Here I am 43 years later, and I don't think my basic motorcycle skills are what they should be. So I made a conscious decision to do something to fix that. To Dad, from Dad, a GasGas TXT 300 Racing Edition. Why the GasGas TXT 300 Racing Edition? Because I found a killer deal on it. I know nothing about trials bikes. I think this one's fine. I think it's great. It's a relatively new model. Not brand new, but new enough. It runs great, feels good, kind of. Trials bikes feel very different than every dirt bike I've ever ridden. And frankly, it took me a full day of putting around on the thing just to get used to the ergonomics, the geometry of the machine. After a day or so, I started to feel pretty good and decided that I needed to build an obstacle course in my backyard. So I went and found some pallets from a buddy that runs a shop, and he had a couple of these that are a little longer that I kind of like. I cut one in half, not in half, cut a third off, put an angle in it, screwed everything back together, put a brace at the bottom, and now I have what is arguably a bidirectional unit for two different things. Number one is the balance control. I want it to come in, nose the tire against the wall, hold it there, show balance, demonstrate balance, bounce off the wall, and drive away without dabbing. The second is, this is a great obstacle, I think, for learning how to double blip and jab. I can't even remember what they're called anymore. Those two things are fairly similar, but there is definitely a difference between the two. This is all stuff that I'm just learning right now. So here we are, we're like the third day in, and I've worn tracks in the yard enough that I'm sure my wife is not thrilled, but she's supportive. Thank you, honey. And I've had a whole lot of fun on this stupid thing, way too much. Like, I feel like a kid in a candy shop. I don't have to go anywhere. I can ride right here in my little backyard and run through a few obstacles. Most of these are pretty benign. This is actually probably the best one for multi-purpose training. All of the obstacles are assembled from crap that I got lying around, with the exception of this pallet obstacle right here. A buddy provided these long pallets for me, which by the way are perfect. That wasn't there originally, but I needed it because the tire spins in the grass. I get much better traction on the wood, so that's worked out really well. The seesaw is it's a leftover 2x10 that I used to pour footings on the garage that I built 10 years ago. So I have a motorcycle stand under a 2x10 for a teeter-totter, and I have a motorcycle stand underneath another 2x10 as a long, shallow ramp with a drop at the end. And then I have a 2x6 for a small balance board, just for good measure. Then the cones are placed mostly to force me to stay in the lines, as opposed to just freewheeling wherever I want to go. It strangely makes it more difficult when the land tells you where you have to go, as opposed to letting the bike and balance tell you maybe where you go and where you want to go, or where you would naturally go. Part of the fun has been getting other people to try it as well. I got my kids out here putting around on it. They're having a good time. I'm sure that this will be great for their skill building. I had my brother over here, and he's actually a very good rider. He wanted to run his DR 350 through some of the obstacle course, and he did, and played around on the trials bike as well. He mentioned the same thing. The ergonomics, the geometry is so different from everything else that you really have to get used to how to maneuver the bike. So look, here I am 3 days in, and I still haven't gone over the top of this obstacle right here. What you're about to see is my very first attempt to go over the top of this obstacle, steep side first. What I'm trying to do is a double blip. And I think I'm pretty close. The biggest issue is I think that my front tire is hitting the obstacle while still on the rise, and so I need to either wheelie a little sooner or let it drop a little sooner or something, so that I can compress the suspension a little better against the obstacle and then bounce up over the top a little bit. But you know what? I'm feeling pretty good about it overall, and I'm surprised at how much fun it is, because the timing is so precise that you can't go into it expecting to think your way through it, which is what I thought I was going to do. In fact, when I do that, I stall out. I get to the obstacle and I stop, and I can't make myself keep going. But once I did it a couple of times and started to instill just a little bit of muscle memory, now it's not intimidating anymore, and I think I can refine it and get it better and better as I go. But it's stupid fun. I don't even know why it's that much fun, but it is stupid fun. So for an older guy getting into trials now for the first time ever, in fact, I think this is the first time I've ever ridden a trials bike at all. The idea here being that I can improve my basic skills, balance in all directions, skills on difficult obstacles, technical obstacles, on a bike that weighs probably half what a typical dirt bike would weigh. I'm hoping that all of that skills training translates well into more of a kind of a hard enduro style riding. That's the objective anyway. So look, if you're like me and thinking that you can improve your bike skills and maybe considering getting into the trials game, let's work through this thing together. I'm just learning. I'm 2-3 days in and having a blast with it. Haven't taken the bike anywhere yet except my own backyard. I know there are some great spots around Utah to ride, and I know there are some rider groups that I can hook up with and do some things with. So that should be fun. I don't know. We'll see where this thing goes. Long term, do I do more trials or more enduro or whatever? I don't even know. But the bike's a hoot. I think I can get better with it, and I think my kids can get better with it. So 2 thumbs up on the trials bike so far.